Have you ever wondered why, just as you're about to achieve something great, you start to feel this overwhelming fear? Like, just as something is about to come into reality that you've been wanting so badly for so long, it gives you this uncomfortable feeling that kind of detracts from the pleasure that you should be getting from it. I'm Dr. Lewis Thomas, a disillusionment coach and GP, and today we're talking about the topic of fear and self-sabotage. And we're talking about the fear of success, not the commonly associated fear of failure and negativity. So we're going to look at how this holds us back from achieving our dreams. And this idea actually came to me based on a conversation I had with a good friend recently. So we were out at a social event and we were talking about how he tends to have a very negative self-image of himself in relation to dating and relationships. So we were trying to motivate him by telling him lots of positive things about himself and trying to hype him up. And then it suddenly occurred to me, wait, I've been here before, let's try something different. And this idea just came into my head, and it was, stop being afraid of your own power. And he just paused and smiled and nodded. And then I was watching it kind of like hit him, and it then suddenly hit me. And I was then starting to contemplate my own life. Stop being afraid of your own power. And then I finally got around to journaling about it this morning. So I'm going to share it with you now because I want you to have the same realization about self-sabotage that I had and that my friend had. So there's a famous quote that goes, "Our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate, it's that we're powerful beyond measure." I know you've heard of that one if you've watched Coach Carter, but it's actually from a lady called Marianne Williamson. Why is it that our deepest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure? This is the question that I've really been, starting to think about. So I think that the reason that we're afraid of our power, afraid of being successful and achieving our dreams, is that we're constantly striving to achieve our desires. And through that process, we just get used to that feeling of, trying to achieve that. And that can go on for, quite a long time, which is long enough for us to just get used to it and for it to become our normal state of being. Then when we get to the point of actually getting close to what we want, this brings about such a massive change that it scares us. So we're not scared of the success, we're scared of the change that the success brings. And many of us don't like change, we're scared of change because it brings about uncertainty and it's about stepping into unknown territory where you don't know where there might be hidden dangers lurking that will, come out and really mess you up. And obviously deep down, we know that what our heart desires is within that territory, but we still can't seem to shape this feeling that, it's going to be surrounded by booby traps and we're going to somehow end up getting killed or, something terrible is going to happen to us in the process. And it's all part of this belief that you can't cope with the uncertainty of change. So your mind receives that message and then does everything it can to prevent the change, which means when it comes to taking decisive steps forward and actually doing something, your mind will figure out how to mess it up. And the thing is, we underestimate how good we are at justifying staying the same. So this is where the ego comes in, and the ego is the part of us that just wants to protect us from harm. So it doesn't tolerate any risk or any uncertainty. And a lot of what the ego does is give us plausible deniability. Plausible deniability is basically saying something false in a way that makes it appear that you don't have any knowledge of the truth and therefore have no responsibility for it. So take, for example, a common dating example. So when people are out on dates at the end of the night, they might say, oh, do you want to come back to my place for coffee? And that's basically giving them plausible deniability of their true intention or desire, which is to have sex. At the end of the day, you have the plausible deniability of, being like, oh, we're just having coffee. And once you get to that point, then obviously you can decide whether it's just coffee or whether to take things further. So that's an example of plausible deniability. So what our ego does is give us plausible deniability to avoid our desires that cause us fear. People do things or don't do things based on the content of their thoughts. So if you're afraid of doing something that you want to do, you're going to feel really uncomfortable. And this discomfort stems from an internal battle within you between your ego and your true self. The ego is trying to protect you from danger or risk indiscriminately. So it doesn't care about the real you that has the desire for positive change. All the ego wants to do is protect you from change, because then it's in a situation of uncertainty where there's a possibility that it will be in a situation where bad things could happen. So for most people, the ego will always win this battle. And it's at this point that the ego then has to justify itself and starts telling you things that you want to hear. This is the plausible deniability. So this is the coffee invitation. This is your ego saying, you're better off not doing that. You're better off without them. You just make a fool out of yourself. You just end up failing and dying. And it's what if, what if, what if? And it basically goes on and on until it's completely smothered the light out of the, initial desire that you had. So now you feel more relaxed and calm about not doing it because the ego has justified it for you. But here's the secret, if you didn't already know. Just be aware that the ego has basically played the same game as that F-boy or corrupt politician to get you into bed and then basically deny any responsibility. Cycle can go around for years and years for any given desire, whether it's finding a partner, changing careers, getting in shape, starting your own business. It was 3 or 4 years ago that I initially remember saying I wanted to start a YouTube channel to help educate people on common health conditions in a relatable, accessible way. And during those years, my ego kept winning the battle of preventing me from doing this thing that I felt called to do, that I wanted to do, to bring a significant change into my life for the positive. But my ego could only see the potential negative outcomes from it. So the key here again is that the ego doesn't discriminate. It doesn't want bad things to happen to us, but it also doesn't want good things to happen to us. Because if good things happen to us, then things change, which leads to a future that's unknown. And within that future, there's a potential that something bad could happen. And the ego can't handle that thought. That's all it focuses on. And this is how people end up self-sabotaging. They get on the verge of something good coming into their future, and they tell themselves that something bad is going to happen. They fear the unknown so much, then rather face the pain of the possibility of going from a good situation into a bad situation. They would rather stay in a bad situation. And in order to do that, they have to do something to prevent the good from happening so that they can stay in the bad situation. Hence, they take the action to sabotage themselves. And some people don't even realize that they're doing this. This all happens subconsciously. And it's only when they meet someone else who reflects it back to them or have therapy that they actually become aware of it. Self-sabotage happens when you're on the verge of something good, but fear the pain of going back to something bad so much that you would rather just stay in something bad. Our deepest fear is not standing at the bottom of the rock face. It's standing at the top of the cliff and falling back down to the bottom. Because when your feet are on the ground at the bottom of the rock face, you're safe. And you can repeat the same pattern of climbing up just so far that you're able to jump back down safely without injuring yourself. The real fear is having everyone look up at you as you stand at the top of the cliff, and they're seeing all the weaknesses and flaws that you believe you have from years of living in fear at the bottom, not wanting to change your situation. It's like you don't believe that you're worthy of standing up there, having others look up to you, as if their gaze is somehow going to make you lose your balance and mess up and then just fall back down and die. The truth is that you're never going to get up there in the first place unless you believe it's possible. Once you're up there, it's confirmed. There's nothing that your ego can say to deny the reality of where you are at that point. It's known, you've done it, you're there. It can't knock you back down again. Everything that you've been through to get up there is going to keep you up there. And this state of being up there at the top of the cliff will then become your new normal eventually. And if you really want to start climbing up another cliff, you can do that. Your ego will just have to stay quiet because you'll have already mastered it. You just have to leverage the previous cliff that you've already climbed up to then climb another cliff. So yeah, the ego is gonna, be talking, but it's about being able to ignore it and believe in yourself. And that's pretty much it. Once you can just believe that it's possible for you to have your dreams and just focus on that rather than the possibility of something bad happening or something going wrong and failing, then you'll just do it, because you'll just be thinking those positive thoughts about your dreams and not letting your ego distract you with all of these, justifications of staying the same and being safe. You have to kind of override all of that and tell yourself that actually what's safe for you, for the health of your soul, is to follow your dreams and to push through that discomfort and win that argument. It really does help to journal. Like, this is what I have done this morning, in order to share with you, because I want you to have the same realization that I had from that one kind of statement, like, stop being afraid of your own power. So I really encourage you to just confront your fears, embrace the uncertainty of success, and just don't let your ego hold you back. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video and gained any value from it, please give it a like. If you want me to do just more kind of like journal entries where I'm just kind of free form on personal development, then yeah, let me know in the comments. Please subscribe. It really helps me get the channel going, and helps it helps to have some kind of feedback. Yeah, I wish you all the best. Let me know in the comments if you're working on anything. Reach out to me. You can message me for any issues that you're having. I just love to get involved and help people. So yeah, see you next time.